for our people. So,
Right.
Georgia, you there yet?
I am, yeah, I've been listening. I was,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, we had a good conversation with the OPs today about bringing some tools to each one of these market centers. And Ray's got some solutions. Chris McLaughlin is going to have some solutions. But the main thing is that we know that this is going to be a market. I'm sure you're going to talk about that a little bit on your State of the Region call, Ray. And I'm sure that some of your numbers will show that. And then we're going to bring more focus to it because we know it is going to become a market issue pretty soon. Hey, a couple of things that we want to do before we turn this over to Ray and we do our State of the Region. For most of you, you were just on the growth call and the big launch coming up in September with Canva. And we know there's a lot of questions. Danielle and I were just talking before the leadership call here about what we could bring to you as value regarding that. I know that Lara has some questions and a big one. Yay, that's great, Liliana. I know that Lara and some others had a big question on the call, like what's the difference between what we have and what EXP is going to get? And to be honest with you, we don't know, right, Daniela? We don't know what the big difference is, except maybe, why don't you tell them what you know about?
Yeah, so honestly, the main difference that I see from the examples that I saw was the design. A lot of the design is going to be branded towards the agents, so they'll have a lot more templates that they can use. And then also for leaders, I've never used any other brokerages, example for Canva, but I know at least for us, this is something new that's rolling out and not a lot of people have it. So I think it's great that they're going to have tons and tons of different designs of that. And that's definitely something to look forward to.
Right. And then the other big question that we heard was, is this a pro account? And to your knowledge, Daniela, this is a pro account. We don't know exactly how that's going to work yet. But here's what Danielle and I decided that we're going to do. What did you, Liliana's got something in there that she said. What did you say, Liliana?
So I talked to the Canva people at MegaCamp and I asked that question. I asked the question, what's different from EXP or Compass? Because they all have it. And what they told me was that they're going to focus more on KW because we're bigger.
Right.
And that the marketing obviously is going to look different, whatever. But it was a pretty vague. I have it on video somewhere. I'll pull the video and send it to you so that you have her answer on that.
Yeah, I don't really know that there's going to be a big difference, to be honest with you. So, because a lot of you are saying like, well, what's, people are going to say, well, I've got this here and I've got this here. Here's what Danielle and I decided to do, because to be totally transparent with you, sometimes when we do these rollouts, when we have something and then we roll out another product and then we try to convert from one to another, there's always like this challenge that they get a hold of somebody at Canva and then the agent is calling Canva, I have a question, and they say, well, yeah, you can have this pro account, but here's this. And so what we want to do, what Danielle and I want to do, is we want to make sure that we're having the conversation with Canva ahead of time for you guys. So if one of your agents or you're calling Canva and they get a hold of an account rep, we know exactly what the conversation is going to be before we, so we kind of know. Because you know what I'm talking about. When anytime we've done these rollovers, these rollovers sometimes don't operate as smoothly as we would like them to, right? And so Danielle is going to try to get with some other RTTs and find out a lot of things before this happens, so we can kind of like, what's the word, be preventative, for lack of a better word. Now, what kind of questions or concerns or anything do you all have that Daniela can be working on so we can get you any questions or concerns or anything that you have in this rollout? What would be your biggest question that you have? Yep, Carla.
So at MegaCamp, one of the things I was concerned about, because I have a pro account with Canva too, they said you can just downgrade and get your pro account to be free. And I said, well, what about all my designs and all that stuff? They said you can share any of your designs with your new account in Command. and continue to use all of those designs that you've essentially created in your
Right.
account in Canva.
Right.
So that
It
gave,
won't just, yeah, from what we know, it won't just like, you won't get your old pro account. You're gonna, from what Daniela knows is you're just gonna have to, Daniela, what did you find out? That you're just gonna have to share them, right?
Yeah, so when creating this new, because it's going to be a new account, Canva account, and it's going to be a pro account, so you're going to still have the same features as you do if you're paying for Canva. So you're going to have to share from your old account to your new one. So you can either copy that link or you could use that share button to share it to the new account, and that's how you're going to have access to all of your old templates.
Right. So it's not gonna be like your, so these are all the things that we want to get answered for you, because I think people will get frustrated, like, well, I want my existing Canva account to be my pro account. Well, that's going to be frustrating to a lot of agents, that they're going to have to copy and transfer things over. So there may be some things that you all have to think about how you're going to support the agents, but that's what Daniela and I are going to work to figure out. So we get a lot of this done for you ahead of time. So you can actually then say, all right, agents, here's how this is going to work. You're going to get a new pro account. You're going to have to copy and transfer all of these over. So they don't find out after the fact. Do you know what I mean? So that this is great. These are the kinds of things we want to know. What would be the other questions that you would have that Daniela can be finding out? Anything else? All right. Well, we're going to do our best to get in touch with them and make sure that this is an easy transition. But again, I think just even knowing that a lot of people are just going to think their existing pro account becomes free, and that's not going to be the case. So I think that was one of the things that we had already learned, Carla. So thanks for sharing that with us. But we already had known that, and so that's one of the things that we're definitely going to figure out. And then the other thing is, I just want to make sure that if they call Canva with a question, that there's not an upsell, because sometimes, when we do these rollouts, the agent will call whomever and they say, well, yeah, you get this, but if you get this, you can have this for more money. I just want to make sure that there's not anything else that they're going to be upsold on. Do you know what I mean? So we're gonna be sure of that as well. So we're gonna make some phone calls and double check to make sure that's as smooth as possible. All right.
And another thing, Georgia, I kind of wanted to touch base on is we're also going to be working. I know I'm working with RTTs to create like a workflow of how that's going to look like, especially if they have an old pro account. What's that's going to look like once they roll into the new account? Because again, not everybody has access to it, but you're going to have to create it for the agents, and that's something that we're going to be working towards. So.
Daniela, there was another question that connected to the MLS, and we do know that it's going to be connected to the MLS, right?
Yes, that's correct. So within Canva, you're gonna have to go to the app section of Canva and search KW. And once it launches, then you'll be able to find it. Right now, if you go into Canva and search for it, it's not gonna be there. But once you download that to your computer, it's gonna be kind of like if you use designs on command and how you could switch it. So like if you click on a button, then it will switch the image, it will switch the address, it will have the same functionality.
Right. And Ryan, I understand your point, but at the same time, we just want to make sure that this is going to be as smooth as possible, and that if they do get a hold of somebody from Canva, that they understand, what do our agents need to say? Our agents need to say, we're Keller Williams and we understand we have an XYZ account, because sometimes you get these account reps that don't know what's going on, and then they misspeak. So we just want to make sure that we know what your agents need to say if they call and have a question. But hopefully they're not going to call Canva. They should just be going to your Market Center Tech Trainer and getting all their answers. Yes, Brandy.
Yes, sorry, I'm not on camera, but the question is, if they belong to multiple MLSs, are we aware if they will have the ability to connect to multiple? Because I know my team and then a couple of other agents also have multiple MLSs that they belong to.
That's a great question. So Daniela, you got that one?
Yeah, so the same way that they have access to the MLS integration on command is the same that they're going to have within Canva. So with that same system, KWLS, as long as it's on the MLS, they'll be able to pull up the address.
Okay, perfect. And then Ryan, I'll get with you later because the agents, if they do want to print from Canva, and they, obviously I know Canva would love to make money off that. We also have a local print shop in one of our market centers that we courier postcards or flyers and things like that where they can print for very inexpensive. So I haven't been able to have a chance to talk to you about that, but we can talk offline, Ryan.
And Andrew, this thing about hosting opens for other agents, you know, that you've got to get approval from the various brokers in order to host open houses for others. So I don't know that in particular. So that would be something that we're going to have to find out as well. But I want to be careful about that because sometimes that becomes agents are using other people's listings for open houses or just to promote their listings, and you have to have permission from the broker to be able to do that. So I don't know how that'll work, Andrew, but that's quite, do you see that question there, Daniela?
Yes, and that is a great question. It's going to be the same process as before. You do still need to have permission from the listing agent before you use their listing on anything. So just get with that listing agent. Once you get approval, then you'll be able to use their listing.
Yeah. And we're assuming that they'll have access to it, but we don't know. We don't actually know that. So we'll have to get that figured out. But good question, Andrew. But that, would you write that one down too, Daniela? Okay. Anything else? Okay, very good. Let me just show you one thing. I want to share my screen and then we'll move to Ray. Now you're going to be getting, as you know, you all received an email, and even though it went out in the middle of August, hold on, I got to get this down. Well, there we go. Even though it went out in the middle of August, we still wanted to get your goals for the month of August. So what you see right now is you got a Google sheet that said, give us your goals. So what we do is when you give us the Google form, I should say, it moves over to a sheet. And so here you see where we have everybody's name and then where we are with goals. Now, you know, the reason I'm doing this every month is because I don't think it feels good to be able to have your goal from the beginning of the year, and then you may be behind on your goal and there's no way to catch up. I get it. We have the same thing going on in the region because we're negative like in the 500s right now. But here's the thing, incrementally, if we can work month by month by month, then let's work month by month by month to feel good about the goal that you have for the month and that you accomplish that goal. And I think if we make these incremental progress, that we'll be able to reach some good numbers. Plus, there's been some team leaders that have been put in roles that in the middle of the year now, and those weren't their goals originally. So there's a lot of different things that are happening. So probably today or tomorrow, you're going to get a new email that's going to say, what is your goal for the month of September for your appointments, gross and net, indie conversations for OPs, etc. And we're going to ask you to complete that. But this is the tracker that we have now for this particular month. So if I were to sort this, and then I want to go to, I'm going to go to Caroline and Liliana. You wanted to talk about how you saved an agent from courted today. I want to spotlight a couple of our market centers. So Orlando Lake Nona, these were their goals. So you can see here their appointment goal was 40. Their actual appointments have been 18, so they're 45% of their goal. Their gross goal was 11, and their total gross so far is 8, according to Slack. So they're 73%. And their net was 3. Their actual net is 5. So they're 167% of their goal. Caroline, who's going to talk in a few minutes, is 55% of her gross goal, her appointments. She's at 50% of her gross goal, and she's at 80% of her net goal. So you can kind of see how these percentages or these numbers work here. So, but if you look at this in totality, the gross goal that you all gave me in the middle of August was 987 appointments, and we're actually only at 46% of that, or 458, and we've got 5 days left in the month. our total gross that you gave me for August was 249. We are at 122. So basically, I don't have a formula in here for this one yet, but basically we're like almost 50% of that. Let's just see. We're 48%, like I said, pretty close to 50% of that goal. And then for our, let me just put that in there. And then for our net goal was 101. We're actually at 18, so we're only 18% of our goal. So if you were to look at this overall, how do you say that some of us are doing as far as our goals are concerned? Give me some comments. Let's look at here at our, where's our opportunity? Venice, you're at 150% of what your goal was. So you might say, oh, that's good because they're over. But at the same time, maybe we need to look at our goal and go, oh, okay, maybe I need to, on my goal, I'm actually doing 30. Maybe I need to increase my goal a little bit. Okay. On some of you that maybe are only at 30% of your goal, maybe you need to look at that and say, what do I need to do to get more appointments? Or how do I set my goals better? Okay. If we look at our actual gross here, whoops, I want to do percentage. Let me do percentage here. These market centers are all at 100%, and you can see where it moves here. So I'm going to be sending this out after the call, so you guys can take a look at this, and you can see where you are in your percentages. So it might help you in your numbers for putting your numbers together for September. But if you are looking at this, what would you say that we have some opportunities in doing?
It looks like we have conversion opportunities.
Conversion opportunities, right. What else?
Or like you said, increasing appointments. In some
Exactly.
cases, right? If we're at 150%, like we need to increase the appointments to 40 versus 30.
Exactly. So if you can hit that number, which I think was 20, and you're already at 30 this month, then you say, okay, well, I probably can do better than that. I probably need to look at my appointments and maybe move to 30. Now you've got a newer team leader there in Venice. Okay. So maybe he starts with 20 or 25 and then moves to 30. Guys, I'm not asking you to be exact. What I'm asking you to do is put in a realistic goal and then work to achieve it. Okay. And then if we find that we're doing better than we thought we could, then the next month do a little bit better. And then the next month do a little bit better. Don't put 40 if you've never done 40 before. Then put 20 and hit 20. Then put 25 and hit 25. If you've never done 10 gross, don't put you're going to do 10 gross, but put 4 or 5 and then hit 5. Make sure you've got your appointments set, and then do your 5, and then the next month do 6, and the next month do 7. Okay. Same thing for net. Net, you need to know if you're having conversations, you need to know that you've got people that are going off your roster. If you think you're going to be -5, put down -5, but then go back and talk to your team and say, what are we going to do to fulfill the mission statement of creating, careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living? Make sure that the people that you're bringing in are going to attend your training, and make sure you have the training that we need to have to be able to turn these things around. So I wanted to spotlight, and then we're going to move on to Ray. I want to spotlight Caroline. Caroline, where are you? I think, Caroline, this is the first kind of big month you've had where you brought over 2 or 3, I think, R2s, and you got more coming, and then you really spotlighted that company. Tell us a little bit about what you've done.
To be honest, first off, I'm so thankful for my leadership team. I'm just surrounded by really awesome people, so it helps me be able to do what I need to do. And so, the number one thing is just building relationships and making contacts. We always are coaching to the agents that this is a contact sport. So it's the same for us, and being able to stay top of mind to everyone in the market. So that's really what I've just tried to do the most. I have make sure that my market update goes out to the whole MLS on Mondays. I have the hot sheet of all of our listings go out at the end of the week. And then in the middle of the week, I like to share value. So they've already seen me. So that's one thing. And then another thing is just being able to have those conversations with the top 20%. So I can tell stories too when I'm having these conversations. So it's not me sharing. It's basically like, oh, do you know this agent? And then they do, right? And so I end up get to tell their story a lot as well. So that's kind of how it all started. And then just being able to be honest and ask, really direct questions and come from curiosity. That's kind of how I've been doing it. And follow up, follow up, follow up.
Right. Excellent. Really good job. And I know you've been working at this, so it's finally starting to turn around for you. So great job, Caroline. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Liliana, you wanted to talk about, you saved an agent through a conversation from Corded. Do you want to talk about that a little bit today?
Yeah, absolutely. So it actually was not me, it was Karina.
Okay,
Because when you empower the team, right?
there you go.
We had an agent that took an appointment with LPT and then came back and told us about it and all the things. When Karina sat down with the agent was saying my 2 other friends or my 3 other friends. And Karina just said, let's pull up your friend's production. So she pulled up every single friend's production. They were down between 38 and 50%. And then asked our agent, how much money have you made in the last year, right? And she gave her the amount of money and then just basically told our agent, so if you want a pay cut of around $45,000 to $50,000, then you need to move to LPT. And just the numbers on the screen, because our agent was looking at the screen from Corded, that alone was enough to be like, what the hell am I thinking?
Now, what's also interesting, guys, is we cannot be afraid or have limiting beliefs about picking up the phone and calling other agents at other companies, okay? Because your competition is doing it.
Oh, we're being heavily hit by LPT.
Yeah, they're calling your people. And if you're not calling their people or other people or these indies that I'm talking to OPs about, they're having conversations with everybody else. And so we cannot have this limiting belief that we can't be talking to these people. Brandy?
I was just going to add one thing that, like, just to share some vulnerability. I mean, like, Caroline and I had a pretty fierce conversation about her coaching, right? Like, she was being coached by someone that she liked. And, were we getting the numbers? Sure. I mean, she was doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. But I noticed like there was a higher level of accountability that could come from a very direct coach. And I think he still, quite frankly, can, tick her off from time to time by saying, yes, and you can do more, and always pushing her. And to me, I really love seeing her thrive with a higher level of coaching. And I know that can be a difficult conversation between an OP and an MCA, or an OP and a team leader. Like, I know you like your coach and you're friends with them and there's all this warm and fuzzy stuff going on, but like, we have to grow. And, it wasn't an easy conversation for us to have, but I just asked her, are you open-minded to switching? Because I think I'm going to know someone that's going to really help you. And this is in your best interest, and helping her also self-discover that. Like, we were able to have that conversation without any hurt feelings. And, luckily she knows my personality well enough at this point. Like, I'm only in this to help her and to serve her, not to, question her. And it really, I've seen everything change with that. And then I also think, Lewis protecting her time, she has a very strong MCA that, I mean, literally has told her to go home if she's going to get more lead generation done at home. I've watched him do it. Say, if you are just going to feel like you have to be that people pleaser, right? Because she's a DI, she's got that eye where she needs to help every agent as they come across her, and she is social. And he finally was like, you're going to lead gen from home for a couple mornings because we got to get you to where you need to be. And, they're able to have those same fierce conversations, and it's all out of love, right? There's no ill will. It's, we love you and we're here for these agents. You go home.
Yes. Yeah. Excellent. Good. And that's the OP's job, is to be able to find the right coach and and make sure that the team, you know, through their leadership is all working together to get the results, because the only way that you're going to increase your profitability and your market share is by growing. Liliana, you wanted to say something? I think you had your hand raised.
I think our biggest aha when we went through this situation last week was how us as leadership, like how we need to be constantly reminding them of the value, right? Connecting those dots, like Mike Forza taught us a few months back, connecting the dots between why did you come here in the first place? And let me remind you about why you're still here, right? Because you are making money, you are growing as a person. I mean, I was able to go back, then I had lunch with the agent and asked, how much money have you made in the last 5 years since you've been here? And it was a little upwards of $500,000. And I said, so who cares about the cow? Like, are we really gonna have this conversation? In 5 years, you've contributed to KW 18% of your GCI. Seriously?
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
so
yeah.
we need to be more on top of the message and the value that we provide, and remind them of numbers and to think like CEOs.
So Liliana, what I got out of what you just said is maybe we need to be more proactive in our conversations and be
100%.
saying, hey, I was just looking at your numbers. Do you know over the course of the last 5 years, this is what you've made, and this is what you're on track to do this year. And by the way, if they're not on track, that's even another conversation you need to have, and then help them with that. It doesn't matter what level of agent, different staff members can work with different. That's what our jobs are. We're losing way too many people for who we are. Way too many people. We can do so much better than in helping our people. Caroline?
Yeah, like it takes a village. You know, that was the one big thing that I heard the most at Mega Camp was it takes a village. So having that strong support where you can have those fierce conversations, not just in your leadership, but also with your agents. And then carries down to all the R2s or the megas or whoever you're talking to as well, because we're all here to help and serve. And when you're in that alignment, it does take a village. So, yeah, it's just awesome to see it come full circle, you know? So there's hope for people out there doing the work.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations to all of you that are hitting the mark. So great job. And so as you put your goals together for September, remember, you know, think about what you're going to do, what you need to do to accomplish that. Be serious about your goals, and let's work to achieve them. And if there's something that you do need, make sure that you're reaching out to your OP or to us. And we're here to help and support you as well. Okay. And don't forget, we've got our September 12th Team Leader Mastermind going on. Anybody is invited to do that. At this particular session, it's going to be everything ALC. How you find your right candidates. I'm going to do a mock ALC meeting. So you're going to see how to do an ALC meeting. We're going to go through the P&G manual, so you know some things that you need to make sure that you're addressing. How you get leads from your ALC for your, for your growth. So you're helping them build their profit share, so they can be a part of the 100 plus club. I don't think we talk about the 100% or more club as much as we probably could. That they do have a free cap. If they have profit share, they have a free cap. So everything ALC is what we're going to be talking about. So I think it's going to be a good session. All right. Ray, are you ready? We go back to sharing. Ray, are you there? Did I lose Ray? I don't think I did.
No, he says he's still there.
Well, I just didn't hear his voice.
Georgia?
Are you there, Ray?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Okay. What was the date on that team leader thing?
September 12th.
Well, perfect. A Friday.
And,
Okay, great.
Well, because Ray brought it back up, I was going to talk about it later. But if you are planning on coming, I'm going to post the link in the chat. If you are planning on coming to that and you're not RSVP'd, I need you guys to RSVP quickly, because if we reach a certain number, we will have to move possibly to another location. So I don't want to find out like 2 days before that I got 15 extra people coming. So I'm going to put that thing in the chat. Please RSVP if you plan on coming, so we can make arrangements to do a bigger venue if we need it.
Yeah, and by the way, if you're a market center tech trainer, if you're an assistant team leader, if you're a productivity coach, you're all welcome to attend.
And Georgia, if you need, and Ashley, if you guys need a bigger venue,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's Lake Nona or Oviedo, can definitely host.
Yep. Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, let's talk about the market. All right, so state of Florida numbers. This, guys, remember, this comes from floridarealtors.org. Okay, most agents don't even know they have access to this. The great thing, Georgia, is this actually works all over the state. So for instance, when my mom was thinking about selling her house in Pensacola, Florida, she asked me what's going on in Pensacola, Florida. I went to the city of Pensacola and gave her up-to-date numbers. I was able to look at the best time to sell because every community or area is different. So our agents can look anywhere in the state, whether it's by county, by city, doesn't matter. Okay. So as we noted this year, we've been kind of subpar a little bit on closed sales. Last year we had about 2350 sales. This year we're down to 22.7. So we're down about 3% closed sales. So when you hear that the Florida market is crashing, I wouldn't say being down 3% would merit that. I think we're a little bit softer, and we'll talk a little bit why that is. But again, we're down 3%. Those are the real numbers, whether you like it or not. Median price. Last year we were at, call it 417. This year we're at 410. We're down 1.7%. Let's round that to 2%. Again, we're down year over year. It's a softer market. Our sellers need to know that we're in a softer market when we price properties. Our buyers need to know there's opportunity in the market, okay, because of this. Next thing that I look at is median time to contract. We're down from 37 days on the market last year to 48 days this year, okay? That's down 30%, Georgia. In Orlando, we're at 70 days on the market, 7-0. So if you think 48's a lot, think about 70. That's where we're at in Orlando. Again, the data is the data. I use it to help sellers price properties to get price drops. Buyers, I show them the opportunity in the market and they need to buy now, whatever the rate is, okay? Inventory, the other part of the supply and demand, right? Inventory's up 21% year over year. Last year, we're at 93,000 homes. Now we're at 113,000 homes. What we're hoping to do is level off. In Orlando, the last 4 months, we've leveled off somewhere between 13 and 14,000 homes. Our normal market in Orlando is 10,000. So our agents and our market centers know that we've leveled off, and it seems like we've leveled off. People are pulling houses off the market that we're testing the market, and hopefully only real sellers will sell in this market. Okay, so it's great. So yes.
Ray, what's the difference between median time to contract and median time to sale? Is the median time to contract days on the market, and median time to sale is how many days it's?
Yep. So median time to contract is when it goes under contract.
Right.
And then median time is when it closes.
So
it's taking about 40 days to close on the average. That's what it looks like. Does that make sense? 48 days to get a contract, and then 40 days to close.
All right. So in median time to sale, that's from when it goes on the market.
Correct.
That's included in that time frame. It's not from the time it goes under contract to sale. That's included in there as well. Okay.
So the good thing is that shows us that our sale time from contract to sale is about 40 days. Yeah. So it's not too long.
Yeah. Okay.
And then of course I drew a black line underneath months of supply of inventory. Last year we're at 4.5. This year we're at 5.5. Again, we're still trending up as a state. In Orlando, we've kind of leveled off, which is good. Unfortunately, we're early to the party in inventory rising, but we've leveled off. I'm sure the state will level off. Only serious sellers should be selling. I went on a listing appointment this weekend. I always ask people what their interpretation of the market is. The last 3 listing appointments I've been on, the sellers have said, well, it seems like it's slower now. Well, great. That is a really nice setup to these numbers, because if somebody says, well, it seems like a pretty hot market, they're in for a rude awakening, right? Because the numbers are the numbers.
Yeah. I'm looking at here at pending sales, and then I'm looking at closed sales. Those numbers seem to correlate to be the same number, pretty close to the same number,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
You know,
But you know what I look at this is like 22,000, 23,000 new pending sales. There's still plenty, you know, if an agent only needs, and I say only needs 12 to 15 transactions to make what, $100,000 or 120. If your average commission is about $10,000 and you can do 12 transactions, that's about $120,000 if you do 12 sales, right?
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
one a month.
it's one a month.
We're not talking that they have to do 50 or 60, and that's more than probably what they're going to make if they went to work and got a job. I mean,
That's
at the
right.
end of the day, they net like maybe 80 after their cap and some of their expenses. They'd probably do 80,000 after expenses and paying their cap. But you know, after their cap, they'd be at 100, and then maybe some expenses and things, they'd be at 80. That's more than you get by having a regular job.
I was talking with my team leaders today, and they're talking about so-and-so getting a part-time job,
Yeah,
making $15 an hour,
Yeah.
20 hours a week. I'm
Right.
like, if you can't, the reality is at $15 a week, 20 hours, what are you making? If you closed one deal, you're good for months. I mean, it just boggles my mind, Georgia.
Well, what
You
if
know.
what if I paid somebody $15 an hour to lead generate for me?
There
Hello?
you go.
Just say,
Absolutely.
look, pay yourself $15, and I'll pay you $15 an hour to lead generate for your own business, and then you reimburse me back, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's a
Right.
model, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So again, I have people asking me all the time, why aren't we selling more properties? Okay. One of the reasons, of course, is the lock-in effect, right? We talked about this about a year ago, but these are the up-to-date numbers as of today. When you look at whether you're looking at the pie chart or you're looking at the numbers on the left, there are still people that have mortgages. 21% of people still have sub-3 mortgages. That's me. Okay. There's not very many things that can make me sell my house if I have a 2.75% mortgage, right? But I could turn it into a rental if I want a different property. Okay. 3 to 4% mortgage. This is the sweet spot. Most people have this. About a third of people in America with mortgages, 33% have that 3 to 4% mortgage. 4 to 5%, 18% of people. 5 to 6%, 10% of people. And now we're starting, because we're closing more and more deals every year, Georgia, 19% of people have 6+% mortgages. Okay. So this is why, with the locked-in effect, people feel like, well, geez, Ray, I don't want to sell because I don't want to give up my interest rate. Well, great. If you're not living in the forever house, make this one a rental. Your mortgage person can offset that with a lease, so it's not going against your debt to income ratio. And buy your dream house, and again, live your life, because we only have so much time. As I get older, time is my precious commodity, not pinching pennies. So does that make sense?
Yeah. And Ray, something that people don't realize is maybe they're going to buy a house that's a little bit more, and it may be for a short time not as affordable. But let's just say they kept their house and rented it out for a couple of years. Then if they sell it, they can take that equity, move it into their new house, and then they can have an amendment done, if you think about it ahead of time, to reduce their mortgage payment for the new loan balance, so they don't have to live with that payment forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, going back to the portability talk that we've had for the last few years, I was talking to a gentleman, he's getting divorced, and his wife is probably going to move out of the state. And we were talking about what he's going to buy after him and his wife get divorced. And he's like, well, I'm only going to be able to afford this based on what I'm probably going to have to pay her. And we talked about his portability number, and he's got about $5,000-ish in portability savings. And I said, so this is going to afford you an extra, call it $400 to $500 a month in savings, tax savings. And he says, wow, how do you know about that? And I said, well, it's just something that we as realtors should know, but don't know.
Right.
So again, these are the things that we can talk about to make sales, to manufacture sales. Whether he he was thinking about renting for a year. And we
Yeah.
talked about the tax breaks that he's going to have, the appreciation he can build. You know, again, we're solution solvers, right, for people.
Guys, these are all important conversations that you should be having in your team meetings. And these are all important conversations that you bring up at your ALC meeting. So when you're teaching your ALC and you're having your room filled with your agents. I was just at the St. Petersburg office and they were sharing with me that they used a suggestion I had, which is have your ALC meeting at one of your regular meeting times. So in other words, if your regular meeting times are at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, have your ALC meeting be one of your regular team meetings. So, you know, first week, second week is your regular team meeting. Third week is your ALC meeting. And then your agents are coming in and attending that meeting. They're seeing what you're talking about with the ALC, and then that extends out to them as well. Sometimes I hear that you're having your ALC meetings at other times other than your regular scheduled meeting and nobody's attending, and it should be for everybody. So these are important conversations, Ray, that should be discussed in the ALC.
100%. All right, so what does Zillow say? Now that Gary says that Zillow's not as big an enemy, we can use this. All right, so Zillow says Florida's a buyer's market. And of course, every major publication is saying the same thing. So we can't buck what it is. If that's the case, you look on the left, a true buyer's market, you see where the concentration of blue or deep blue is, that's us, right? Whether we like it or not. And then when we talk about sellers markets, again, the Northeast is kind of leading the way, that Massachusetts area, that New England area, New York, New Jersey, all Vermont, you know, I'm talking to OPs up there and they still have multiple offers. Again, that's not our market. We need to live in the market we're in. And when you go to the next slide, Georgia, this is similar to the slide that I was presenting to the OPs, but this is from Zillow's perspective instead of Redfin's. Cape Coral is the #1 buyer's market in America. Miami's #3. Northport. We got Deltona. We've got Jacksonville. We've got Palm Bay. We got Tampa. So if you look at this, Miami is dominating this. Again, going back to the distress conversation that we had, Georgia, the good thing is a lot of people do have equity in their houses. That's why we're not going to have that 2008 collapse, right? But there are a lot of people, and the numbers are staggering. I didn't have any of the distress on this particular deal because we had talked about doing the OP thing separately. I'll do that next month so people can see the real numbers. But when we were discussing the amount of lis pendens that were going on, and what a lis pendens is, guys, it's when the bank is suing somebody for the deed of the property because they're not paying their mortgage. You got to pay to stay. The reality is there's been about 18,500 lis pendences filed this year, and 9,800 of them had 25% or more of equity in the house, which means that if they let it go to foreclosure, the homeowner will lose all of that money. And if the average home is over $400,000, they have $100,000+ in equity. It's a crying shame, right? But they have to, we as realtors, the people that are in trouble, and we know there's a lot of them, there's almost 10,000 of them in the state. If that's the case, we have to be able to reach out to them and say, we have a solution. Hence what we talked about, Georgia, about earlier, about the distressed world.
Yeah, 100%. So Ray, what does the 41.6% represent in Tampa?
Okay, that just means that the lower the number, the worse off you are. Okay, so when you look at, usually 100's bad, but 100's good. So when it just means that, again, I'm not sure how Zillow did this, but
Is it an affordability index?
It probably is. Yeah.
Say that one more time, Brandy.
It looks like an affordability index is what I'm gathering, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't see the source other than, we know it came from Zillow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, when they were talking about it, they were doing the 1 to 100, with 1 being the worst and 100 being the best.
Okay.
So, all right, next slide. All right, so let's talk about this. I was teaching in Oviedo last week, and people were like, what's going on with the cancellations? We're having more cancellation sales. So here's an agent rolling along, supposed to have 3 closings, and 2 of them fall out. So they have one. Problem with agents is, and I can say this because I'm an agent, is they spend that money in their mind. They know they're going to make 40,000. They go buy a car, and then they only have one, and they make 12,000 instead of 40,000. Okay. So what are we doing as leaders to make sure that we're having classes to bulletproof transactions? Okay. And if you go to the next slide, this gives more of a what's going on, Georgia, more on the bar graph. Since they started tracking cancellations of contracts that fall through, you can see that as of this year, it's definitely the highest that it's been. And you can see that post-COVID. And I don't know if that's a buyer's remorse or people, are scared because, if you're in contract for a house and your cousin says, I can't believe you're buying a house in this market, then you don't feel as good about buying the house, right? So what are we doing? What are we teaching our agents to talk about the market and talk about, why you would actually buy the market or buy the house in today's market? So what classes are we having to help bulletproof the transactions?
Ray, I have something else about this because I used to teach this in my market center when I was a team leader. There's a report, an activity report, and I think you can still get it. And in the activity report, it would show us all of the transactions that fell through. And so we would go back to the agent and find out what it was. It was either generally at the time of inspection, at the time of appraisal, or it had something to do with credit approval, or maybe at the last minute they spent money, or they lost their job, or something like that happened. Does that make sense? So, but here was my little pet peeve, is that the agent was not always turning in the paperwork. So we did not even know that there was a cancellation. Okay. So it's important that I'm sure that in Florida, we have the same thing, like within 36 to 48 hours of an executed contract, it should be turned into the brokerage, right? And in this case, put into command. But if we don't know that's happening, we don't know the reason for the cancellation. But the other thing is that it's our due diligence to find out why these cancellations are occurring, because then, Ray, you have conversations with the agents about inspections or appraisal or getting pre-approvals, or telling the buyer, the seller, hey, or the buyer, don't go out and buy a car, don't go out and get it, don't do anything about your job. Do you see what I mean?
Absolutely. And so, you have these agents, and I say that because I'm an agent, that they'll go under contract with, they might have been working with somebody for a month or 2 months, and they're with them several times a week, and they're with them, they go under contract, they turn it over to a transaction coordinator, and they just expect to show up at closing, right? They need to be checking in with that client once a week, getting them back into Measure Furniture, keeping them in love with the house. You just said that the average commission is $10,000. What else are they doing? Right? Stay on top of the transaction, right?
Or know how to, or if the inspection comes out wonky, know how to get it, go back to your team leader or your broker and find out, what do we need to do to get this fixed? I can't tell you how many times we had to go back in and have a conversation with the other brokerage to get something fixed, or know how to do an appraisal, or change the mortgage company and go to another mortgage company and find somebody that can do the deal a different way. Do you know what I mean? So there's always solutions to it. You never let it cancel unless you absolutely have to.
So here's an idea that I just thought of. Our top agents are always looking to teach a class, and some of them don't know how they do what they do, but some of them are master negotiators.
Right.
How about if you send a text out to some of your top agents and say, hey, I'm thinking about having a class on how overcoming repair addendums and things that have happened. Can you come in and tell me stories how you got past some of the things that people might not know how to get past? And they would be honored to do that.
Yeah. I'm just giving you the top 3 I remember. There could be 4 or 5 things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. All right. So the next part of this has to do with, there's a lot of talk right now with the current administration over the $250,000, $500,000 exclusion. So somebody sells a primary residence in America. If you're single, you can actually not pay capital gains on up to $250,000. And then the other part of this is if you're married, up to $500,000. This is what's absolutely nuts, Georgia. And I don't see it in my world. This is going to have to be for somebody that's been in a house for a while. But when you look at these, this basically, let's just look at Florida. 47.8% of Americans, if they were to sell, or Floridians, if they were to sell their house, they would be over those limits and be paying capital gains. So if you think about the way this works, and you can look at the map, a lot of America would be paying capital gains if they sold their house. So you have a lot of these older folks that are saying, if I sell, a good chunk of my money will be paid in taxes. So they're scared to sell, right? Because we want people to move, right? As Americans, whether it's moved to smaller, whether it's moved to a facility because they want to retire. And when you go to the next slide, you can see some of the stats and when this was actually established. This capital gains was actually done in 1997. If you look at the bottom bullet point, and it was done when the median price was $145,000, whereas the median price in America today, I think, is somewhere around 417. So we made these rules 30 years ago for capital gains, and we need to amend them, right? So if me and my wife sold today, we're pretty close to the 500,000 in capital gains, but give us a year or two, and we'll be paying capital gains on our sale of our primary house. And we shouldn't be taxed like investors, right? So these are things that the current administration has on the table. So when you hear about this is kind of what's going on, and these are the numbers. I was kind of shocked to see that many Americans have that much equity. You know, that is pretty amazing.
Well, I think like the baby boomers held their properties for longer. So we've turned into an instant gratification society where first-time home buyers want like the world in their first house. And I've been having to show agents and first-time home buyers like the hold worksheet and showing them rent appreciation and all the different variables, and not just even at 4% if they were to hold it for more than they're thinking, right, in their head, just like the people that bought in 2023 trying to resell and they can't figure out why they haven't, made money. So there's a huge shift in society of, how long people stay in homes and what they actually want in a home. I mean, I remember we were sharing like a 1.5 bath growing up in a house, like with 4 kids or 3 kids, sorry. But like that would never happen today, right? My kids have to have their own bedroom, their own bathroom, like an ensuite, like all this crazy stuff. And so they're waiting, or they're not building wealth because they're getting in so much debt, versus looking at this asset that's going to compound over time and how that can change the trajectory. So yes, these rules are also something that probably need to be changed, but most of the people that are going to be above 65, they can actually rent out those homes out of the 2 to the 5 years, and they can then 1031 exchange it and defer that because they're going to assisted living anyway, and they might need the cash flow from the rent. But most agents are going to go in there and just try to get the listing because they want a listing right now, versus building the relationship and helping the family build wealth. And that's actually going to get you more listings from the family if you set them up correctly.
And that's the key. When you actually help the folks, the kids love you. I mean, that's the reality. That's playing the long game for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And be careful of reverse mortgages too.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that. But all right, go ahead. Great comments, Brandy. Great observation. Thank you.
Yep. So this actually comes from the Chew that Gary puts out. 4 mistakes that cost you, overpricing, of course, weak photos, no staging. The staging part, I think Brandy does a great job of that. And over or under improving properties, we got to teach our agents exactly how to be a better realtor. Okay. What those classes look like, that's up to leadership. But we need some of our best agents to be teaching some of our newer agents, because that's something that can be learned. And that's just putting it in front of them over and over again. And if we know that's the case, again, you do a good job, we're looking for the referral, right? That's what keeps you in business longer, and it makes your database strong. So, all right. So
I even like the title of that, How to Be a Better Realtor.
There you go.
I mean, sometimes it's just the simplicity of something, right?
Absolutely. And this was my take on that slide, whether you agree with it or not. But, ultimately, my job is to make sure that the realtors do get better. And this is what we teach our realtors, right? In a one-on-one coaching. And or like you said, if you wanted to put this into like a team meeting, again, we want our realtors to stand out from the rest of the realtors. And when they have a great transaction and everything's good, then they can tell their friends to come to us. All right, last slide, top producer cases. Again, this came from, I think it was something that Gary sent us. Most agents are using virtually staging now as the top AI. Now that you know that with the paid version of ChatGPT, you can stage database management, property valuation, lead qualification, and appointment scheduling. I think in there, they're writing, I would say that the number one thing is they're using it for is probably writing descriptions, because I hear them talk about it all the time. But we need to make sure that we're on top of AI, because if you went to Mega Camp this year, you know that AI is the next big thing, right? So if you're not getting your fair share of AI training and you're not staying on top of what's going on next, my friend that's an AI executive for a company, he says that within 12 months, everything will change and there will be another iteration of how AI looks at the world. So as I keep learning from him, I will educate us. So
yeah, and you've connected me with him, and he's a great resource that we're going to be possibly bringing to the region.
Yeah, we actually spent, is Liliana still on, or any of my leadership?
I am. Yeah, I'm here.
So we spent a day with him on Friday. So Georgia, just so you know, me and Liliana and a handful, Karina, we're trying to get him to solve problems that market centers have. And Liliana and Karina, of course, are spearheading that. And things like onboarding, nightmare for everybody. Things like K-score, taking up a lot of time. And with AI, we can figure out a large percentage of that. And once we get those solutions, and I think Georgia, once you get in touch with them,
Right.
If he can solve problems for us, for one, we would have less staff and more time with our agents. That's what AI can do for us.
Yep, very good. Yeah, I'm excited about talking to him.
Yeah, my table for 12 on Friday, he's going to be the facilitator. And my table is 23 people at this point. Because I all want to hear that.
Good. Well, maybe I'll come over today. Is it Friday? Maybe I can be invited.
Yes, ma'am. I'll send you the invite.
Thank you. All right, are we ready to go to the next slide?
Yep. And the next slide, I threw this in. This was more for the local. This was actually because I was teaching this the first couple of weeks in the market centers. Hometown Hero on the 18th went ahead and funded with $50 million, and they changed some of the qualifications. We as leaders need to make sure that we understand the differences and who qualifies and who doesn't qualify. But this is a great little overview of how it all works. So if an agent comes to you and says, hey, I want to use Hometown Heroes, you can know what you're talking about and or give them this sheet, and this will keep them in the know, and they're not going to get in trouble saying that they can qualify when they don't. And then it's a takeaway as you as an agent not being the expert. So,
and this is a great lead generation tool. I mean, even if you've got people that are living in a house now, they have a friend, neighbor, relative, somebody that they probably know. So why wouldn't you pick up the phone and say, hey, I just want to tell you about this program. Who do you know that could benefit from this, that might be renting right now? And that's just a great way to be able to change the lives of anybody's friend, family, neighbor, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, and guys, our job is to give this to your agents and then set up, give them an idea of what that script sounds like take all the objections away and all the excuses away, and make it a day, call it Hometown Heroes Day, and have everybody make phone calls, and then have everybody call in and say, well, how many leads did you get from this? And make it a big deal. That's how you create community in your market centers.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, yes, exactly. Anything else? That's it. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Ray. You did a really, really great job. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Guys, again, these are all of the conversations that you should be having as part of your market center to your ALC. So let's move on. I know we're getting, this is generally a little bit longer of a call anyway, but we already had the Canva conversation. The lead newsletter will be sent from KWRI by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ashley, was that for today?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I just saw something in our regional Slack.
Okay.
And so I wanted to let everybody know in case you were looking for it, because today's the day it was sent out. I just wanted everybody to know that it won't be until like 5 o'clock.
Okay. Now, the other thing is family reunion. A lot of times we hear from agents, how do we get on stage? This is how you get on stage. So if you have an agent that meets the minimum, at least 40 closed units or 6 million in closed sales volume in the past 12 months, and they're in good standing with you, scan this QR code, send their name in, let them know that you've nominated them. That's a big deal. Let them know that they've been nominated, and support them, because Keller Williams is looking for people to put on stage. So please make sure that you're taking advantage of this. And
George,
then,
I just want to, I hold on. With that said, yes, let them know, but also let them know that nomination
guaranteed.
submission does not guarantee that they will be
Right.
on stage. That's
Yeah.
just,
but
don't forget
let
to
them
add
know
that.
they've been nominated, but it
Right.
doesn't guarantee, but that you've nominated them.
Yeah, acknowledge them. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But even at that in itself is important. Okay. Don't forget about our community masterminds that are coming up. So you can visit the event site on our hub for the luxury and commercial calls. I know Brandy just did one last week for luxury, and it was really, really greatly attended. We have our regional orientation August 29th. That's coming up in a couple of days. Command fundamentals, we've gotten really good reviews on that. So the next one is going to be September 11th. As we said before, we have our team leader mastermind. Then you have the second part of command fundamentals. The third part, I want to talk about team one. Jean sent an email describing what this class is about. We're going to be sending that out to all of you. Ashley, if you want to find that email for me, then you can put it up. You have it, right, Ashley, too?
I do have it.
Yeah, you can put it up on the screen in a minute.
Sure.
And then Intro to AI for Real Estate Agents is going to be on September 23rd. And like I said, I'm working with this gentleman that Ray introduced me to, and we're going to be working with him as well. So let's see. And then here's some future events coming up. October 7th, anybody that's interested or doing luxury, you would want to come to the Luxury Exchange. That's on October 7th in Tampa. We've been talking to you about the ALC clinic. I think the invite has been sent out on that from Ashley, October 22nd, 23rd.
Yes.
Train the Trainer Advanced. Is that sold out, Ashley?
It's not. Nope. We're about halfway full.
Okay, halfway full on that, November 7th and 8th. Business Planning Clinic with Gene Rivers. Career Visioning on November 18th. Jason is going to be in the region on December 5th. And then we have our Leadership Academy. We were not able to get him to come to that same week. So we're having it the 29th and the 30th for all leadership. And then we're going to open it up on March 10th or 11th for anyone maybe that's not leadership. So that's going to be our January leadership meeting, is going to be on the 29th and the 30th. All right. So these are all of the upcoming KWRI events. You know, of course, about Family Reunion, the Luxury Symposium. If you're a luxury member, you wouldn't want to miss that as well. And then the Land Summit in October. And I think
Georgia, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. The early bird pricing for Family Reunion is I don't have the date off the top of my head, but I know it's coming soon, that the early bird pricing is going away. So two things. Please be sure leadership gets registered. You guys all know who's going at this point. If you didn't take advantage of that $100 off that they had, the early bird is still there. That will be going away. So ALC members, your agents, you know, that are going, let's go ahead and get them in on that early bird price. With it being in Georgia, you know, you could even get a group together and they could go up there together versus flying. But either way, that will be going away. So please be sure everyone knows about it.
All right, so let's do our celebration. So for closed units, let's see who our top market centers are. In the number 10 spot with 114 units, Jacksonville Beach. In the number 9 spot with 117 units, Gainesville. And number 8 with 121 units, Orlando Lake Nona. In the number 7 spot with 123 units, Sarasota Metro. In the number 6 spot with 137 units, Venice. In the number 5 spot with 148 units, Lakeland. In number 5 with 155 units, Claremont. Oh my gosh, like who's in the number 3 spot? In the number 2 spot, 158 units, Tallahassee. In the number 2 spot with 160 units, Orlando Central. And in the number 1 spot with 172 units, Brandon. Congratulations, everybody. Good job. Good job there. All right. Let's move on to closed volume. Closed volume with over 51 million in the number 10 spot, Brandon. In the number 9 spot with 52 million, Tampa Central. In the number 8 spot with over 53 million, Tallahassee. 7th spot with over 53 million, Lakeland. In the number 6 spot with 54 million, 9, Orlando Lake Nona. In number 5 with 69 million, St. Petersburg. In the number 4 spot with 72 million, Jacksonville Beach. We got some new people up here. In the number 3 spot with 79.5, Orlando Central. In the number 2 spot with 81.1, Claremont. There you go, Bethany.
Yes, sir.
There you go. And in the number 1 spot with over 82,965,014, Sarasota Metro. Good job, everybody. Some big houses being sold out there. All right, let's check out listings taken. In the number 10 spot with 51 listings, Jacksonville Beach. Number 9 with 57 listings, St. Petersburg. Number 8 with 63 listings, Lake Nona. Number 7 with 67, Ocala. In the number 6 spot with 70 listings, Lakeland and Winter Haven. Ooh, combined there, McLaughlin Group. Number 5 with 86 listings, Orlando Central. In the number 4 spot with 87 listings, Brandon. Oh, we're going to have some new people up here too. In the number 3 spot with 98, Tallahassee. In the number 2 spot with 111 triple digits, Oviedo. Check that out. And in the number 1 spot with 137 listings, Venice. Congratulations, everybody. All right, let's move over to owner's profit. This is, of course, our favorite one. With over $19,000 in owner's profit, the number 10 spot, Orlando Central. In the number 9 spot with 24,000, Claremont. In the number 8 spot with over 27,000, St. Petersburg. In the number 6 spot with over 28,000, Tallahassee. In the number 6 spot with 30,000, Sarasota Metro. In the number 5 spot with 30,409, Winter Park. In the number 4 spot with 30,875, Lakeland. In the number 3 spot with 34,165, Brandon. In the number 2 spot with 34,693, Gainesville. Check that out. Chris and the team out there. In the number 1 spot with 36,488, Jacksonville Beach. Good job, everybody. All right, in total gross, in the number 10 spot with 3 gross, a lot of people, Claremont, Daytona Beach, Inglewood, Gainesville, Orlando North, and Spring Hill. Good job, everybody. In the number 9 spot with 4 gross, Bradenton, Manatee, and Orlando South. Good job, Caroline and Carla. In the number 3 spot, with, in the number 8 spot with 5 gross, Brandon, Greater Manatee, Jacksonville Beach, Ocala, Orlando Waterford, St. John's, and Venice. Good job, everybody. In the number 7 spot with 6 gross, Lakeland and Orlando Southwest. In the number 6 spot, where are you? There we go. With 7 gross, Jacksonville Mandarin, Jacksonville Orange Park, Sarasota Lakewood Ranch, Tallahassee, and Winter Haven. Look at that. We got 5 market centers that were 7 gross. And what we had in the number 5 spot, we had 7 market centers that were gross 5, 2 market centers that were gross 6. So guys, this can be done. Let me get to the number 8 here again. I went backwards, didn't I? At number 8 spot. Okay. There we go. Oh, got too many. And the number, well, it's just popping up at the same time, so I don't know what to do about that. Now I lost it. Okay. In the number 9 spot, wait, hold on. I went too far back. Sorry. Where am I? Let me get going here. There we go. All right. Did I do 6 with 7? There we go. All right. Number 5 spot with 8 gross. St. Petersburg and Tampa Central with 8 gross. In number 4 spot with 9 gross. South Shore, and we have an opportunity there. Great market center. Chelsea moved with her husband and is starting a new job in the education field. So we have a great opportunity there in South Shore. And in the number 3 spot with 11 gross, guys, New Tampa, Bo Drayton, and Sarasota Metro, Jamie Githler. Good job, everybody. In the number 2 spot with 14 gross, Orlando Central, Lisa Hill. And in the number 1 spot with 15 gross, Orlando Lake Nona, Liliana Pickens. Good job. If you want to know how to get 15, 14, or 11 gross or 10 gross, I would contact these top 4 or 5 market centers because they're making it happen. Good job, everybody. All right, total retention for net. In the number 4 spot, because that's what we needed for to have net 1, Inglewood, Greater Manatee, Orlando North, Orlando Southwest, and Winter Haven. Good job to the executive leadership teams of those market centers. And in the, whoops, got my clicker messed up here. For some reason, it's not cooperating with me. All right, in the number 3, whoop. Actually, for some reason, these are coming up all together. Well, I can't do anything about it. In the number 3 spot, New Tampa. Wait, I'm sorry. Something's weird here. My fault, guys. In the number 3 spot with net 2, Claremont, Gainesville, Lakeland, South Shore, St. Petersburg, and Tallahassee, all with net 2. Thank you so much for the executive leadership team for getting our net. In the number 2 spot with net 3, Jacksonville Orange Park, Orlando Central, Sarasota Lakewood Ranch, and Sarasota Metro. Good job, everybody. And in the number 1 spot with net 4, let's see who it is. Orlando Lake Nona. Not only did they bring in 15, they were number 1 with net. I guess gross equals net. How about that? And Orlando Waterford, Jessica, and the executive leadership team. Great job, everybody. Thank you so much for everything you do, and congratulations to all of you. Ashley, can you put up that email from Jean?
Yep. Hold
Okay,
on one second.
Let me, because I unshared. I'm not going to read this to you, but we're a little confused why we can't, you guys have to tell us why we can't get people, indies, top agents, recruits. This is from Jean. It says, hello, my friends. This dive into the course, Team 1, coming soon in Tampa on September 19th, is for leadership to really understand who this course is for. It's all about agents and staff and recruits and indies. But here's the thing, guys. You should be taking the, if I did nothing else but have all the leadership, the team leaders take it, the MCAs take it, the OPs take it. Unless you guys can teach this course, you should be coming to the course, okay? As you read these elements, think of consulting power, an OP, team leader, ATL, MCA, AMCA, PC, market center tech trainer will have by understanding the content of this training. More importantly, all agents of every level could really see opportunities they may have in a very different light. Our statement is to give careers, lives, businesses, experience, and legacies. This is the model to do exactly that. Please consider how now is the time to take market share, and how do we help our agents find their best path to do that exactly. It will be through following the model and training and coaching. So we're going to send this out to you. But he's going to talk about why this is beneficial to a single agent. Keep going, Ashley. Why this is beneficial to a level 2 agent. Why this is beneficial to a level 3 agent. Why this is beneficial to a level 4 agent. Okay. So we're going to send this out to you. If we do not get some participation, Jean can't come out here. We have 2 people registered, and both of them are from Tallahassee. Now, we taught this class, Ashley, back me up on this. We taught this class in Orlando.
We did.
And we
in
had
May.
people complain to us about what?
That it's not in their area over in Sarasota, Tampa.
Right.
Everything's over in Orlando.
So we said, okay, if we bring it to Sarasota and Tampa, will you guys support it? And they said,
100%. We'll fill the room.
and the 2 people we've got is from Candace and an agent coming from Tallahassee,
The
which is where
furthest
Jean
point.
is. So, guys, have an indie conversation. Do you know that some of the top market centers, I look around the country, and some of the top market centers that are grossing a lot is from having teams in their office. When you have a team in your office, you should be helping your team grow their agent count. And now, they have leads, and they probably know how to do distress and short sales and everything. So you've got experienced agents helping your agents in the market center, but you also have a lot of agents that might be a single agent, or like Jean said, a level 2 agent that wants to learn how to build a team. This would be a great conversation for your indies. If you've got recruits that want to come, we're happy to work with you on the price. But Ashley, what do we have this price at? Anyway, how much is it? It's $99. It's not like it's $299. Okay. So let's try to fill the room before we need to cancel it. Probably we need to have about 50 people to make it a worthwhile class for Jean to come.
Yep.
Because teaching to 2 people from his Tallahassee Market Center is not going to necessarily excite him.
Yep.
So I would say that we need to have minimum 40, maybe 50 people that we need to see. So
And on that note, Georgia, 40 to 50 people by the end of this week. I can't have, you know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah, we can't have 40 or 50 people by September 15th.
Exactly. I got to know ahead of time.
Because Jean's got to, figure out what he's doing. So
Exactly.
we need to be able to know by the end of this month that we're at least at 20 or 30, and then maybe we can work on the other 10. But I would say, Ashley, by the end of this week, we need to see that we've got 20 or 30 people to not cancel it.
Yep. Minimum.
Then what we'll do is we'll work with you the following week to see if we get more. It could still be subject to cancellation, but guys, this is really an easy phone call to make. And if you need to bring a recruit, let us know. And we thank you, Damien. But team leaders, I want to see you there. Now, you say, I don't have time. You do have time to go, because you're going to go to get educated as to how to have a conversation with an agent in your market center to build a team. So if you say, I've got to stay in my market center and recruit, you can make phone calls on your way. You can step out at lunch and make phone calls. You should, and bring an agent with you. Bring an agent with you. Bring a recruit with you. If you're not there, then I'm going to ask you, tell me how you build a team. Maybe some of you already know this, but if you don't, this is a great way for you to be able to learn. Okay. So let's fill up this room. Damien just registered. Thank you, Damien. Damien, get some of your people to come, please. All right. Anything else, Ashley? I know 2 of my new RTs this month, and they said they would go. Great. Let's get them registered. Awesome. Awesome.
Nope. I think we covered everything. I think you're good.
Very good. Okay. I loved just as a follow-up, when Jonathan Mills is in our region, he's actually in Gainesville. So I'm pretty sure that's a Jonathan Mills that Jason was talking about. It could have been another one, but I think it was Jonathan. And when he said, what did Jonathan do to be able to get his agents on his team to get $20 million? Can anybody recite to me what Jason said? All right, this is important. This is important. Write this down, because this is what your productivity coach should be doing. This is what you should be talking about in your consulting appointments. This is what you could be talking to indies about. this is what you're going to be talking to recruits about. He did this miraculous thing that probably is mysterious to everybody. He had his team add one contact to their database a week. One contact to their database a week. Write this down. He had them write one note per day. One note, handwritten note per
Yeah,
day.
handwritten, he said.
Right, handwritten note per day. 5 connections per day. In other words, make 5 connections every day. Have 3 role plays a week. 3 role plays a week. Real, role play with other agents. So these are his agents on the team. They would role play with each other 3 times a week, probably for 30 minutes. 2 open houses a week. Now, guys, open houses do not need to be on Saturdays and Sundays. They can be during the week. And if you want to know how to hold an open house, go to your shift book. 2 open houses a week. 5 social media posts. I guarantee you, if you had your agents do this, it created $20 million in business for him, I think, in an 8-week period of time. He did it. I didn't write that time frame down, but in a short period of time, it brought $20 million. All your agents need to do, if they even want to net 80,000 or make 120,000, everybody wants to make $100,000, even though inflation, when I was a team leader, they want to make 100,000. They're not saying 200,000, but whatever. Anyway, $100,000. All they need to do is 10 transactions to net them probably 80 or 90. If they just did this and you got everybody doing this, if I was a team leader right now, I'd bring everybody into the market center and say, guys, this is what we're going to do every day. And I guarantee you, if you do it, you are going to make money, because that's my job, is to help you make money. Now, what I'm going to say to you here is, as a team leader, as a market center tech trainer, as an assistant team leader, these are all the things a market center should be doing. Add 1 person to your database a week. Write 1 note. Maybe it's to your agents in your market center. Make 5 connections per day. Role play in your market center, consulting conversations, recruiting conversations, new agent conversations, whatever it is that is important. When it says 2 open houses, I would say that would be 2 career visioning, not career visioning. What do you call them? Career days. Have 1 career day a week, or do a, like Liliana does, a table of 12. Do something where you're bringing people together that's kind of similar to an open house. And then post 5 social media posts. Guys, do that. Let's see what happens with that. I challenge anybody to do that. And next month, well, actually, it's going to start this month on our contest, but next month we're going to look at it every week. But this month, if whoever wins the contest is going to get be in a drawing for money towards their ALC clinic or any regional class that they have. So we're going to have that on our call next week at the end of on Monday. Which there's no call Monday because it's Labor Day, right? So our next call will be the following Monday. All right, no call next week, everybody. All right, let's go make it happen. Grow, grow, grow. We got 5 days, 5 days to reach our goals. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you soon. See you in the region. Bye-bye.
Thank you.